I'm gonna do a reading of a piece that was done by Malcolm X. It's titled How I Discovered Words, a Homemade Education. It's from the autobiography of Malcolm X himself. Let's go. It was because of my letters that I happened to stumble upon starting to acquire some kind of a homemade education. I became increasingly frustrated at not being able to express what I wanted to convey in letters that I wrote, especially to Mr. Elijah Muhammad. In the streets, I had been the most articulate hustler out there, had commanded attention when I said something. But now, trying to write simple English, I not only wasn't articulate, I wasn't even functional. I would sound writing in slang. How would I sound writing in slang? The way I would say it, something such as, "Look, Daddy, let me pull your coat about a cat." Elijah Muhammad. Many who today hear me somewhere in person or on television, or those who read something I've said, will think I went to school far beyond the 8th grade. This impression is due entirely to my prison studies. I had begun back in the Charleston prison when Bimbi first made me feel envy of his stock of knowledge. Bimbi had always taken charge of any conversations he was in, and I tried to emulate him, but every book I picked up and a few sentences which didn't contain anywhere from one to nearly all of the words that I might as well had been in Chinese. When I just picked those words, of course, I really ended up with little idea of what the book said. So had come to the Norfolk prison colony still going through only book reading motions. Pretty soon, I would have quit even these motions unless I'd received the motivation that I did. I saw that the best thing I could do was get a hold of a dictionary to read, to learn some words. I was lucky enough to reason also that I should try to improve my penmanship. It was sad. I couldn't even write in a straight line. It was both ideas together that moved me to request a dictionary, along with some tablets and pencils from the Norfolk Prison Colony School. I spent 2 days just riffling and certainly through the dictionary's pages. I never realized so many words existed. I didn't know which words I needed to learn. Finally, just to start some kind of action, I began copying. In my slow, painstaking, rugged handwriting, I copied into my tablet everything printed on that first page, down to the punctuation marks. I believe it took me a day. Then aloud I read back to myself everything I had written on the tablet. Over and over, aloud to myself, I read on my own handwriting. I woke up the next morning thinking about those words, immensely proud to realize that not only had written so much at one time, but I had written words that I never knew were in the world. Moreover, with a little effort, I also could remember what many of these words meant. I reviewed the words whose meanings I didn't remember. Funny thing, from the dictionary first page right now, that word, that adverb springs to my mind. The dictionary had a picture of it, a long-tailed, long-eared, burrowing African mammal which lives off termites caught by sticking out its tongue as an anteater does for ants. I was so fascinated that I went on. I copied the dictionary's next page, and the same experience came when I studied that. With every succeeding page, I also learned of people and places and events from history. Actually, the dictionary is like a miniature encyclopedia. Finally, the dictionary's A section had filled the whole tablet, and I went on to the B's. That was the way I started copying what eventually became the entire dictionary. I went a lot faster after so much practice helped me to pick up handwriting speed. Between what I wrote on my tablet and writing letters, during the rest of my time in prison, I would guess I wrote 1,000,000 words. I suppose it was inevitable that as my word base broadened, I could for the first time pick up a book and read and now begin to understand what the book was saying. Anyone who has read a great deal can imagine the new world that opened. Let me tell you something. From then until I left that prison, in every free moment I had, if I was not reading in the library, I was reading on my bunk. My bunk. You couldn't have gotten me out of books with a wage. Between Mr. Muhammad's teachings, my correspondence, my visitors, usually Ella and Reginald, and my reading of books, months passed without me even thinking about imprisoned. In fact, up to then, I never had been so truly free in my fucking life.